Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another excellent episode of the In Everything podcast with your hosts, Liam and Amber Clark. And today we're going to be talking about nothing less than godliness. Let's get into it. Alrighty. Amber,
Yes.
how you doing today?
Oh, sorry, my phone's going off. My goodness.
Unprofessional, dude. You are so insanely unprofessional.
I'm good though.
I can't believe this.
Sorry. I'm
Do you ever
little
see?
tired.
Sorry.
I think I slept too much.
Did you ever? Do you know who Christian Bale is? Right? Christian
Yes.
Bale, the guy who played Batman.
Yes.
Did you ever see the video of him like yelling at like the sound guy?
No.
There's like a video of Christian Bale who's like he was on the set of filming one of the Terminator movies.
Uh-huh.
And there's some guy like walking around in the background. He's like with like a boom mic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian Bale is like, "You idiot!"
Oh.
And just like it's just totally just like he's like, "Are you a professional or what?"
Oh.
He's like, "I'll make sure you're never gonna work in this industry again."
Well.
Fortunately for you, I'm not Christian Bale.
Thank you.
So I won't berate you for not being a professional sound technician.
Thank you.
This once.
Because I'm not.
Next time, though, I
Yeah.
will expect perfection.
But I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired, I think, because like I think, you know, when you sleep a little too much and then you're like, I think that's kind of how I feel. But otherwise, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Well, I'm eager. I'm an eager beaver to get into today's study.
Then why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think you have more notes than I do, and I started last week, so why don't you?
You started. Oh, you started the pot. I thought
Yeah.
you meant you started your notes on godliness last week. Like you got a head start.
I hit up Pastor Doug, and I was like, "Hey, man, what are we gonna be talking about?" Just that way I can get a jump on the notes that I'm gonna be taking.
Slideshow. Yeah, so I'll start us off. Sure. So what is godliness? So this is just to back it up. This is just this is adding on to 2 Peter 1, 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
2 Peter, back up in it.
Backing it up. So we've talked about well, I guess we didn't technically talk about goodness and faith, but we talked about knowledge, we talked about self-control, and we talked about perseverance. So this week we're going to be talking about godliness. And what is godliness? So I really like the definition he gave, and I've heard someone else give this same definition or a similar one, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. So godliness is a very practical awareness of God in every area of your life. So as you go throughout your day-to-day life, you are aware that God is present, that you are aware that God's presence is with you, right? And so because of that, we are so aware of God that we can't help but be so focused on him and his will. So when we have this awareness that God is present with us in all things, right? That as we go throughout our day, God is with us, right? And we are aware of him and aware of wanting to please him, then that shapes what we do, how we think, right? It shapes everything, right? Because he's now the forefront of our mind. I feel like it almost goes along with seeking first his kingdom, right? Because then you're fixed on him, and so he's at the forefront of your mind. And so from that comes a lot of different things, but is there anything you want to add on, or is that kind of...
No, okay? I think I like that he kind of broke up the word of godliness
into the Greek.
Yeah, into the Greek, and kind of like showed how that word godliness means like good worship. Because that makes me think of two things, right? Is kind of like how we were talking about a few weeks ago, the what it means for something to be good means that it is operating as intentioned, right? It's functioning in the highest capacity that the thing that it was intended to do is functioning, right? Yeah. So like a thing is good when it is the functioning as best as it can for what it was intended to do, right? But then worship is like just anything that you do in your day-to-day life with the intention of honoring God, right? And he broke up that word into what was it? It was you and
I can't remember the second one.
Sebiana or something like
Sebia?
that. Sebia, I think
something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah, it was like Eusebia.
Something like that.
But just breaking it up into those two, like good worship. So it's like it's when you are functioning in your day-to-day life, right? Honoring God to the highest potential that you can be, right? Because we learned that when something is good, it is functioning at the highest capacity that it can, doing the thing that it was intended to do, right? So a vacuum cleaner is a good vacuum cleaner when it sucks the best that it can, right? Or a cleaning product is a good cleaning product when it cleans the best that it can, right? Because that's what it was intended to do. And so humans, when we are living our lives in the way that we were intended to by God, right? We are doing what we were, that is goodness, right? And then worship is everything that we do in our day-to-day lives with the intention of honoring God. And so it's like when we combine those two things, we get this really, really clear picture of what it means to be godliness, and that is just living your day-to-day life and honoring God in everything that you do to the highest capacity that you can.
Absolutely. I feel like that goes along with being aware of him. I feel like they go hand in hand. You know what I mean? Like when you're aware of him, then you will do everything in worship to the best of your ability.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
And I like too how he broke down, or actually it was Jerry Bridges, right? From the book. What was the book called?
I don't remember.
I wish I could remember. But yeah, he talked about how devotion. I wrote it down. He said devotion toward God, not like your morning devotions, but like being devoted. So devotion towards God is not an activity, but an attitude towards him. So it is not just one act that you do, right? Because anyone can show on the outside, right? And seem like you're devoted towards God, right? But it's your attitude towards him. So, and I really liked this breakdown of the three things. He said it's composed of the fear of the Lord, it's composed of the love of God and desire for God. And I love those three things because it's like a lot of times I feel like in our modern culture, we either we emphasize typically the love for God. You know what I mean? But it's like we need the fear of the Lord as well, right? And because we need desire for God, right? And we need fear of him, and it's just I don't know.
So I'm sorry. Could you read that again?
Yeah.
Because there was something in there that I wanted to maybe comment on.
Okay. Devotion toward God is not an activity, but an attitude toward him. It is composed of the fear of the Lord, the love of God, and the desire for God.
I don't know. That's an interesting thing that he said, that it's not an action,
but an attitude.
I don't know if I agree with that, actually, to be honest.
All right. Spell it out.
Because it seems to me that I think James actually disagrees.
It's what you do and not just
what you say and how you feel. Yeah.
Well, I think he was saying like part of the relationship, like the attitude will come with it. I think that's kind of the sentiment behind it.
I honestly don't even know if I agree with that, though, to be honest, because I think sometimes the attitude is, I think you show godliness despite your attitude sometimes. I think real godliness and because just like how we learned with how love is like a verb, right? Love is a thing that you do. Love isn't an attitude, right? And the Bible makes that super clear. And the pinnacle of love is self-sacrificial, right? And is typically giving up something without the intention of giving in return, right? So that means even having some sort of good attitude about it, right? So it's like, for example, the true testament of my love for you, right, will be not whether or not I feel like being nice to you, or I feel like I'm all lovey-dovey, or I feel like washing the dishes, or I feel like taking out the trash, or I feel like doing laundry or whatever, right? The testament is if I do those things, even when I don't, right? When I don't feel like being nice, when I don't feel like being, tender-hearted or whatever, but I am those things anyways.
But it's not like grudgingly.
that is the true testament of love, is when you do something even when you really don't want to do it, right?
But it's still not like having a bad attitude while doing it. You know what I mean?
No, well, because then that's then that's like self-righteousness.
Yeah.
Then that's like you're on some sort of like high horse, like, and it just, that's just prideful at that point.
Yeah.
But I think godliness is in that same vein where I almost feel like even if you are like, man, I'm not feeling very close to God right now, or I'm not feeling like I want to read my Bible and pray, or I'm not feeling like I want to do the right thing here. I'm not feeling like I want to show self-control or be kind to this person or whatever it is, right? But you say, but I know that God is real, and I know that if I want to live a godly life, then this is what I need to do. So in a sense, I guess if that is your attitude, right? I guess I would just want more clarification as to what he means by attitude. Because if your attitude is like, I don't necessarily have an attitude right now that is going to, motivate me to do this godly thing, but despite that, I'm going to do it anyways. So it's like, if that is your attitude, then I think, that definitely is beneficial in living a godly life. But I don't think necessarily there is, the drive and the motivation to do the right thing sometimes, because we're all fallen. We're all sinners, and a lot of the times we don't have that motivation.